Time Pulse 4 is now a thing on Desert Nino, and in this video I'll be going over the users of it and how best you can use the skill on a lot of units. So Time Pulse 4 is still an infantry locked skill, and it is going to be very useful with units who have got -1 special cooldown weapons, and it is going to be amazing with 2 cooldown specials like Ruptured Sky and Vital Astra. And Time Pulse 4 basically still retains the original Time Pulse effect, but now after the combat, if the special cooldown count is at maximum value, then you get -1 special cooldown. So it could be considered like a mini special spiral in a way, but one condition is that the special cooldown count must be at the maximum value to get the -1 special cooldown after the combat. So that is the one condition that you have to keep in mind with its wording, and it pretty much, tries to tell that this is not going to be working really well on stuff like godlike reflexes with defensive specials and with stuff like AoE specials. But with something like godlike reflexes, you basically have your special pre-charged, and then on the enemy's hit, it then triggers, and then you retaliate back, so your special is not going to be at maximum special cooldown because of your own retaliation. And same goes for the AoE specials. You pretty much attack after doing the AoE damage, so that's why it is not going to be at maximum special cooldown count after the combat. And that's why Time Pulse 4 is not going to be the best option with those specials, but for the other units, this is definitely going to be really amazing. So let us take a look at some of the units who make really good use out of this, and they can give you an idea on how to use the skill. Obviously, I cannot go over every single option, but still, if you see someone not being mentioned here that you would like to give the skill to, let me know in the comments. So one of the biggest winners out of the Time Pulse 4 skill is definitely going to be Legendary Dimitri. So Legendary Dimitri already has got quite a lot of buffs in the last couple of months with, easy access to null follow-up with the Vital Astra. So he can basically charge Vital Astra with Time Pulse, and this can allow your Vital Astra users to consistently have Vital Astra charged up. So pretty much they can do what Ascended Marita can do, the original wielder of Vital Astra, and that is just amazing to consistently get the damage reduction out of the Vital Astra and also use it as a really strong damaging special. And because your special is going to be pretty easy to access, the finish skills are going to be absolutely amazing with Time Pulse 4 because it can give you true damage and also healing. So if you have a Legendary Dimitri, then this is definitely going to be an option, and even an option in arena usage, because previously he couldn't really use Time Pulse because it was not a 300 SP slotsy skill, but Time Pulse 4 is, so that is really good for the arena usage of him. And Shining Emblem of Marth is also going to be very useful with Time Pulse 4. So Marth does have Vantage out of his Genesis Falchion, and that is definitely really good when you can pretty much not need to run a special spiral in his slot B, and he can just run Time Pulse 4 so that he can loop his Shining Emblem and pretty much trigger in his Vantage. So that is going to be really strong, and he can also just run Spurn as his damage reduction skill. So Brave Marth is also one of the best users of this, which a lot of people are going to be giving the skill to. And then we also have Brave Tiki, who I haven't really seen that much being mentioned, because she's definitely amazing with Time Pulse 4 because the special charging of her weapon is basically going to be in the combat. So Iceberg is a 2 cooldown special with her Remote Breath, and then Time Pulse 4 brings it down to 1 cooldown, and then with her Remote Breath she can basically trigger Iceberg instantly. It doesn't matter if the foe has got guard or not, and this can function in both phases. So this is definitely one of the things which makes Brave Tiki a bit more unique compared to Ascended young Tiki, who also has the decharging just like Remote Breath, but she doesn't really have the charging of special like her. Like I said before, for the Vital Astra users, this skill is going to be really amazing, and that is true even if you run Arcane Elutnir. So you can easily run Vital Astra, and you can pretty much free up your slot B skill from running a damage reduction skill and just run the Bulwark skill to get even more healing, and that is definitely going to be nice on a high HP unit like Lonku, for example. So that healing is really good for the longevity, and you can also run this on a unit like Carla, who already has null follow-up in her weapon. So this is going to be really helpful for these kinds of very fast units who are amazing users of Vital Astra and also have access to -1 special cooldown weapon. You can also use this on Ike. So the Thanos Ike build is still something that Legendary Ike can run, and this is not the biggest buff for him, I guess, but still it's pretty nice because Radiant Aether already has -3 special cooldown, and then Time Pulse 4 brings it down to 1 cooldown. So he's basically going to be able to use Special Spiral and Time Pulse and stack it up to make sure that Radiant Aether is always at 1 cooldown. So you can always retaliate back with Radiant Aether that can pierce through the damage reduction through Special Spiral 4. And from the wording of the skill, it does seem like it is going to be stacking up with Special Spiral 4. I don't think there is any kind of reason for it to not. As long as the special cooldown count after the combat is at max, both of these skills are going to be activating at the same time. But if there's any kind of anomaly, I'll definitely report that in my pinned comment, which is going to be the first comment that you see. And we can also run this on mages like Aịrychᴇʟᴜs. So just recently, she's got access to Special Spiral 4 last month, and now she can basically run Time Pulse and have Dragon Fang as a special that can be looped. So that is very powerful because damage reduction piercing is pretty much one thing which she was missing, and now she can do it very consistently. You can also do this on Yuri, and we already have Remote Sparrow as one of the available skills, which can give you the damage reduction, so it could be pretty nice for the player phase. And you can essentially loop lethality with Special Spiral 4 and Time Pulse. And even if you're not able to run Special Spiral 4, it's still pretty good to have Time Pulse 4, because with a dancer support, you're going to be able to trigger lethality again quite easily. So it definitely makes the triggering of lethality a lot easier on these -1 special cooldown units. And Yuri being one of the best users of lethality is definitely going to be enjoying this kind of skill. You can also run this with Arcane Eclipse because it does have the Quicken Pulse effect. So Quicken Pulse with Time Pulse will always stack up, and you just need some kind of other pulse support from a teammate like Asker, a Duo Chrom, or like Legendary Hector, and you're going to be having a pre-charged Glacies, and then you can loop it with Special Spiral 4 and Time Pulse. So this is going to be doing a lot of damage, and this can, be really useful for nuking very, very hard with a strong special like this. So any kind of 3 cooldown special can be looped with Special Spiral 4 and Time Pulse 4. It can also be used with Speed Preempt, so I think there's definitely some application with that. And I think that Legendary Male Byleth is definitely going to be one of the better users of it because he has a damage reduction piercing special that can do a lot of damage. And basically the idea is that you're always going to be having your special ready because of Time Pulse. So you can just use Speed Preempt to attack with that and do a lot of damage and just take out the units before they even get to attack you. You can also run this on Shez, who is a pretty good user of Speed Preempt, even though she doesn't really get the effective damage in the enemy phase. And with Time Pulse 4, even if the opponent has got guard, she's still going to be able to trigger Luna on her Brave Hit, which is going to be doing a lot of damage. Finally, this could also be used for some fun builds. For example, Duo Chrom. This is not the most optimal build, but you can basically use a high cooldown special like Ignis, which does a lot of damage with something like Special Spiral 4 and Time Pulse to pierce through the damage reduction. Unlike Deadeye, which does depend on the damage that you're doing in the combat, Ignis is going to be scaling based off your defense. So that is going to be doing a lot of damage and is going to be useful in some of the matchups. So I hope this video was helpful because Time Pulse 4 is definitely a pretty fun skill. I don't really think that it's too OP or anything like that, but it's still definitely really nice for so many of the builds and for so many of the infantry units. And make sure to share this video with your friends if they really like this skill. And if you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, helps me tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using Super Thanks or by becoming a YouTube member down below as well. And for more FEH videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Time Pulse on flying and cavalry units. They just cannot get it. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.